Jacole, let me know when you have your camera back on.
Camera's on.
Okay. So I have this big screensaver on, so I can't see.
No, you're good. You're good. I'm here.
Oh, there we go.
I went a little more dramatic with the lip than I meant to, but what can we do?
You look great, girl. Look great.
Okay, hello everybody. Welcome to We Are Listening. My name is Ahmed Dents. I am Development and Artistic Associate here at San Diego Repertory Theatre, and this is the last of the series for 2020 before we head into the new year. You're looking probably like at a placard right now of who we have in store for you today. We will get to our introduction in just a minute. But right now, let me introduce my co-host from La Jolla Playhouse. She is the Artistic Programs Manager and Local Casting Director, Jacole Kitchen. What's up, Jacole?
Hey, Ahmed. Hey, everybody. So good to be here as always.
We are back again. This is the final edition before we step into the new year. Couple of announcements while you guys are getting all nice and settled. Please make sure if you are on Zoom that you have your camera turned off, your microphone muted, and you want to make sure that you are only watching. There's a setting. If your camera's off, you don't have to worry about it. But if you don't want to see all the other little squares with names and stuff on them, just make sure you choose that you only want to see video participants. So again, make sure your microphone is off and that your microphone is muted and that your camera is off. Couple of announcements. I want to let you know, as this is the last edition before we step into the new year, I want you to know we are not losing any steam. When we come back in 2021, we will kick off on Thursday, January 7th with Jocelyn Prince and the Black Artist representatives from the Black Artist Collective. That is going to be a spectacular one. On Thursday, January 21st, Dia and Osborne Hurston will be joining us. On Thursday, February 4th, one that a lot of you have been asking about, and I know you want to hear from these gentlemen, Sam Woodhouse, Artistic Director here at San Diego Repertory Theatre, Christopher Ashley, Artistic Director at La Jolla Playhouse, and Barry Edelstein, Artistic Director at the Old Globe, will be joining us here. That is Thursday, February 4th at 5:30. And then on Thursday, February 18th, Mr. Dahan Blevins, the founder of Urban Warriors and the San Diego Kumbah Fest. He will be here to join us to give us a preview of the 29th annual San Diego Kumbah Fest, which will be taking place starting on February 20, I believe it is 26th through the 28th. So those are my brief announcements for the moment. Jacole, what's going on around your neck of the woods?
It is not too late to get your very special link to view La Jolla Playhouse's production of A Christmas Carol, starring Jefferson Mays, playing pretty much every character that you can dream of that would be in A Christmas Carol, directed by Michael Arden. I believe you have until midnight tomorrow to go to the box office and get your special link to view A Christmas Carol. It is on sale now. You also, if you are in the giving mood and not only want to watch A Christmas Carol yourself, but you can also give the gift of A Christmas Carol to a military family. Information about how to do that is on our website, of course, along with all of the digital WOW programming that continues. Our Without Walls series has continued online in this digital platform. So head on over to lajollaplayhouse.org to check out A Christmas Carol and everything else we got going for Digital Wow. It's still going. I've said it on the last two shows. One of the Digital Wow pieces is one that I have produced, Spit and Truth to Power While Light Leaping for the People, a really, really amazing musical spoken word piece. Please check out the video, but also be on the lookout for a social media challenge where we are going to be coming to you, the public, to ask to create your own sermon. What is your response to that video? So more to come. I will be talking about this much more often, but Spit and Truth is available now on our website.
That's much better. That's much better. Also, a couple of things I did forget. Coming up on December 20th here at the Rep, it is Hershey Felder live from Florence. Tchaikovsky. That is begin streaming on December 20th at 5 p.m. Head on over to sdrep.org and grab your tickets for that. And also this coming Monday, Winter Schminter, a Hanukkah solstice concert featuring Yel Strom and Hot Pastrami. That is this Monday, December 21st at 7:30 p.m. You can get your tickets to both those events at sdrep.org. So now let's go ahead and introduce our very special guest for this evening. This woman, what can I say? I don't even have the superlatives to describe just the history that I've seen with her in this town. She is more than an actress, more than a dancer, more than a singer. She is all that and then some. She's a wonderful human being. She's also newly a board member at Cygnet Theatre. You guys will remember Monique Gaffney was on here a couple of weeks ago. They are both now board members at Cygnet Theatre. She is also in a I want to make sure I get the name of this right. If I get it wrong, she'll correct me. But she is also right now in a performance that is streaming at Onstage Playhouse. I believe I'm going to mess it up because I don't have it on my screen. So I'm going to ask her to say the name of it. But please, everybody, please welcome Anise Ritchie to We Are Listening. Come on into the room, Anise. I had the name of the show memorized and then it just, like you turn on the microphone and it just went away.
That's all right. We can always get, kind of brain fogged up here from time to time. It's COVID cabaret. So it's all about the COVID-19. It's just COVID cabaret. Come on in, So yeah, that's live streaming until January 3rd.
January 3rd.
Yeah.
I do remember that.
Yeah, right.
Anise, thank you so much for joining us here on We Are Listening. We really appreciate it. Thank you for taking the time to come and talk to us and talk to our audience. Like you are, one of the premier performers, not just here in San Diego, but as far as our local audience here in San Diego. And we just thank you for coming on and giving us your insights into the industry. We really appreciate it.
Thank you for asking me. It's been a pleasure. And I'm just so thankful for you and Jacole to have been putting on this program for many to see and to listen to what we really need to tell the community out there when it comes to African-American performers.
That's right. Why don't we do this? Let's stick to our tradition that we have. We usually have, like I always say, anybody can read a bio and print a bio, but we like to hear from you. We want to hear from you as far as what propelled you or started you off in the performing arts, and give us a little synopsis of from that start to how we got to where we are now.
Well, I'm a sister coming from the church. Always go gospel in the church. So this is where we go, and this is how I formed who I am today. Yes. So I came from the church. That is my background. That's who I am. And if anybody even gets to know me and get a chance to talk to me, that's where my heart is. But it's so funny. People think, they'll look at me and they'll think, oh, I can't talk to her. Or maybe she thinks she's something else, or she's kind of stuck up. Honey, this has happened to me all my life. That's not just white folks. That's not that Black folks do that to me. I have a handful of African-American sister friends. Most of them are my white girlfriends, okay? I'm serious. But you want the truth? The truth is here, and I'm going to tell you exactly. So that's basically how it's always been. But how I've started, it was definitely in the church. And I always got into singing at school. And when I auditioned for Little Shop of Horrors, that was my first show. I was one of the urchins. So I was like, oh, okay, I can do this. I feel real good about this. And then next thing I know, I kept on auditioning. And this was before I became very, professional. Audition, I always would get the part. And then I audition again, I get the part. And I'm thinking, okay, I kind of like this. So it just so happened that it just kind of fell in my lap, and I was accepted. But as I got older, it seems like I'm having to prove myself a little more. And either they may look at me in a way where, okay, I'm not sure where I need to place her. where I need to put her, because she's not the typical big, heavy set Black woman to sing, you know. So I'm not sure where I need to. So I'm like, wait a minute, you know what? I don't have to be big and heavy to sing for this part, you know. So there's some parts that I don't even go out for because I know that they're not going to select me. And that has just been proven because of, you know, the history, you know. So, but I keep it moving. I keep it moving. Sometimes we have to transform and trying to prove ourselves, but we do this every day. And it's not just in theater. We do this every day on a daily basis. So
that's right. That's right. It's I hope people are hearing this is a common theme, because it keeps coming back around, and people don't, you know, you talk about it and people don't believe that there's still this stigma, there's still this, well, this Black person should play this type of person, because I typically know that's what a Black person who sings gospel looks like, or I know that's what this Black person looks like that, and people still don't believe that. Just how prevalent is that still in the industry today? Because there's people who just are like, oh, come on, you guys, don't, yeah, that's not still happening.
Oh, it's still happening. I mean, I would love to be in Hairspray, but you know, they looking at, you know, a Queen Latifah,
right?
That part, And so I come in there and try to sing it, and they're like, or sing the part. And so it, you know, it is what it is. It is what it is. I've come to the conclusion, you just, you know, you do what you can do, and you sing your heart out, you blow them away. And then I have auditioned at La Jolla Playhouse and have sang different songs that they've wanted me to sing, new projects, and they've asked me back. And then they've kept me in the room, and I just sang it. And then next thing I know, I'm crying. I'm like, okay, let me get this together, because it's touched my heart. So if it touched my heart, it touched their hearts. I know that. But guess what? Did they give it to the Black girl? No. So this stuff goes on. It just, you know, it goes on.
And so I always get disheartened, especially as a casting director and as a hopeful change maker in this industry. It always hurts my heart to hear. So I just don't go anymore. I just stop showing up because I know that they're not going to cast me. To me, that's not a solution. That's not a solution for anybody. I mean, I understand the impetus behind it. I understand it completely, why we get to that point. But I guess my question is, how do we change that? And I know it's not necessarily a fair question to put on you, the artist. And so I don't necessarily mean, I guess, yeah, how can you change minds, but also how can we, who are change makers and potential key makers to folks in this industry, how do we change that? How do we make it so that folks don't stop showing up? How do we change that?
I think when they start thinking out of the box in theater, you got to think out of the box. It may, you know, have the casting directions on, okay, the character has to be 35 to 45, and they're looking at Caucasians, or it can be, do all ethnicities, you know, I mean, just be open to it. Just be open. And so when it comes to new projects, I always go out. If somebody says, okay, Anise, I want you to go here. And I think to myself, oh gosh, I'm not sure if I could do this. And then, you know what, I got to slap my own self back into reality. I can do this. So I go out there and I have to prove myself that I can do this part, you know? So the thing is when you do leave, you have to, as an artist, make sure that you tell yourself you did the best you could do. You did the best. And now it's up to them. And if they don't select you, they don't select you. But you got to keep it moving. I remember the first time that happened, and I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm so used to, and this is when I first started, I'm so used to people are, you know, casting me. But I was young, and I was like, oh my gosh, this is fantastic. And then it started changing. And I'm thinking, okay, what didn't I do? So I had to rethink this. I had to pray about it. And then I realized I did the best that I could do for that part, period. Period. And keep it moving and keep on going. So you can't stop. And I think that that's why I'm so thankful that I've had that mindset so that I can continue on the journey to make a change, just not for myself, but for other theaters to hear me. And I think with me being was asked to be a board member at Cygnet, I think they heard something that I was saying to them. And when George Floyd, that the murder of George Floyd that we all witnessed, and that was a lynching.
Yes.
That was a lynching. That Sean Murray came, he was texting me and he was asking me, what a lot of people don't even know, but he was silently asking me different things. And next thing I know, he has been making changes. So I think as artists, we have to be open. We have to be open to the conversation, and the companies, the theaters have to be open to listen. Be open to because you know what? Things are changing. We ain't going back. We can't. We just cannot go back. We just can't. So I have to pray for my brothers. I have to pray for the Black men, because Black lives matter. Black lives matter. So, but when it comes to theater, I'm just plugging along.
I would love to just kind of talk about the early hustle, because you said, I would audition, I would get it, and I would audition, I would get it. And then things kind of started to shift. But even with I would audition and I would get it, there's still a hustle in that. Just because we have success in an area doesn't mean we didn't work for it. And so can you talk about kind of what that early hustle looked like?
I'm glad you mentioned that, but you know what, Jacole, when I was growing up, and I grew up in Portland, Oregon, and I was the Rose Festival Queen of my school, the very first African-American to be bestowed that honor of being Rose Festival Queen in my school. And little did I know, Rose Festival is big in Los Angeles too, the Pasadena, Rose Parade and all of that. And when I was in school, my mother kept it from me. I was a kind of a sheltered kid. She kind of sheltered us from a lot of things. There's a lot of things because of what has happened just this year when it comes to Black stuff. I'm learning for the first time myself. Jacole, I'm embarrassed to even say that because I've been so sheltered. So, but my life was, even back then, was threatened. And my mother, she's the one that hid it from me so that I could be safe, feel safe in going out into the community and doing what was afforded to me by the students at my school. They're the ones that gave that to me.
So just to clarify, I just want to clarify what you just said here, that you were crowned the Rose Queen at your school, but because of the fact that you were the first Black woman to ever be given that honor, there were threats to your life.
In that school, there were threats to my life. Absolutely. And when I was the queen of that school, but then we had this big coronation, we had to go out and say speeches to this whole Coliseum, but they were making sure that no Black girl was going to be given the crown, the big crown, to the festival, African American. So I didn't know this until it was all over. So, those are the things, those were my struggles at the time. Those are my struggles, but it did not stop me from plugging on and knowing really what I wanted. And after I realized what I wanted to perform. I wanted to sing. I sang with, the Hawkins family, Tremaine Hawkins. I mean, in Oakland. I mean, I was there. I was there. I was, with Walter Hawkins and Edwin Hawkins and all of that. Mm-hmm. That was my background. So so that, it's like the theater. I love the theater. I miss the theater. But I have been so thankful and blessed to continue on in people calling me to continue to perform in cabarets and different shows like that. But you know what? I think I've come to the conclusion and to a close point where I'm going to have to do my own show and tell my own story in my own way with my own voice. That's what I'm going to have to do. So I have to put it in my mind. You're asking me these questions. I'm thinking, oh my gosh, I remember that. Yeah. So I have to start writing things down even for myself. And then I'm thinking, well, will anybody want to even listen? But you know what? Why not? You go ahead and start, do it. See what happens. Everybody got a story. Everybody's got a story to tell. And why not it be me to tell my own story instead of somebody else telling my story?
That's right. There's a couple things there you said that I want to unpack about. Like, I didn't know your background in Portland, and it's funny because about 4 weeks ago, I came across this professor on YouTube, a young Black woman, a professor, and she's been going around the country for the last couple of years, basically giving these dissertations that I didn't know. Especially now, people look at it as one of the liberal bastions of the country, but she's been going around giving these talks about the explicit racism in the history of Portland, like how it's so unique to the city of Portland, like into recent history, as far as in their laws and how things were managed. So it's funny to when you said that, I was like, oh wow, I was just listening to this woman talk about how it's like we hear about, of course, the racist places in the South as always, but she was really showing just how racist the history of Portland was. Another thing is, I didn't know you sang with the Hawkins. For y'all don't know about the Hawkins, man, that's one of the royal families of gospel. Like, you was singing with the Hawkins, that's like just ridiculously spectacular.
Yeah.
But when you're saying like telling your own story, would anybody want to hear that? I think right now we're seeing that people do. I think we're seeing right now, and we were having this conversation today, that this is the time for people theaters who've been scared to do stuff. This is the time. Everyone's fumbling around trying to find a way to stay relevant and try to keep an audience and try to reach a new audience, in this time of COVID and really being locked into these virtual performances or having to get out of our comfort zones.
Right.
Because even the usual things that we've leaned on to bring in revenue are not bringing that revenue right now because everything is shaking up. And when you were talking about telling your story, last night I watched on Netflix Giving Voice, this documentary about they focused on like 6 kids who were participating in the August Wilson monologue contest. They took all of them from different parts of the country and followed these 6 kids up to the finals in New York, and that was the whole theme of the show, was them talking about August Wilson, how he was telling the story of Black people, but regular Black people, Black men, Black women, children, the bus drivers, the sanitation workers, just the regular everyday people, and how much more interesting these stories were because he was providing this true look at Black people. And I just took that away from what you're saying. Is like, yeah, it is time for you to tell your own story. It is time. Like, I just saw a quote from Sidney Poitier today about that. It's our time to tell our stories, the way we want to be seen, the way that we need people to understand how we are.
Right. But when you started talking about Portland, Oregon, I was born and raised in Portland, Oregon. So yes, the racism is there, but like I said, my mother kind of kept it from us. And with her keeping it from us, it helped me to surge on to other things. So, I mean, I was fashion model in Nordstrom. I did all the shows. I did, Jansen, and did all the swimsuits. I did all the shows. Pendleton. I did all of the shows for the big companies there. Nike, when Nike was there, all of that. Then I became the fashion coordinator for Nordstrom, the first Black fashion coordinator for Nordstrom. What? Okay. And then they asked me to open up the stores at Tyson's Corner in Washington, D.C. Guess where I went? I went to D.C. and opened up those stores back there. So, I mean, I thank God that she kind of kept that from it, because, you know, it helped me to see that I can be better than this racism stuff out there, and prove that I'm capable of being successful. And yes, I am a Black woman, but I can be successful too, you know. So
you know what, Anise, listening to you talk, to me, this is everything that you just said to me speaks volumes about your mother and the conviction that she had as a Black woman, to not just shelter you from it, to not just say, I'm not going to tell Anise this is going on, but to keep putting you out there, to not just say, I'm not going to tell her, but I am going to allow her to keep front facing. I am going to allow her to keep forging forward. I'm going to allow her to keep being first. That's huge. Can you talk
I didn't even think about it, but with you saying that, that makes me even think about some other things that she did. I mean, she was a public speaker. She did taxes. I mean, she did taxes for other people, you know. I mean, she was always out there, but she always, and I was telling my husband, I said, for Christmas, I said, my mother always made Christmas magical to me. It was always magical, you know, even though as I got older, okay, there's no Santa Claus, okay. But when I was younger, I was like excited about it. So my parents kept it very magical too. So I'm that kind of person. Ask, you know, my husband can tell you that, okay, she sometimes goes a little overboard with doing stuff, but that makes me happy. That's what makes me happy. So I'm glad you did say that yeah, my mom was definitely, she was definitely the backbone. Yes, and I'm really glad that she pushed me.
And why do you think it was
I'm not
important?
gonna say she really pushed me. She just allowed me to be me, you know?
And why do you think that was important for her, for you to be able to keep going and not feel stopped or stunted in any way?
I think because she had the talent, and like I said, she did public speaking when she was able to do it, but she used to clean homes. She used to clean offices. And she was a wonderful writer, and she helped me write my speech and all of that. But I think she lived it through me. As we're talking, now I see that she lived it through me. And like I had told Jacole, don't get me started. Remember when I told you when I was auditioning at La Jolla Playhouse? My mother
that day.
never saw me in a professional show. Never. And that song that I sang was so real that it's like, okay, if they ever get that song out, I got to record that song because that was who I was. That was who I am. So even though she didn't physically see it, she knows. And I just want to represent, and I want her to be proud of me. That's all.
Oh, and she was with you in that room. I know exactly what you're talking about, is when you came in to audition for Olympica.
Yeah.
And her spirit came through you in that audition, because that's what you were moved. I remember you telling us that in the audition room.
Yeah, I know. Isn't that something?
And so no, I appreciate that we're able to have this moment. And I told you, I'm not trying to be Barbara Walters. I'm not trying to make you cry, but that's why we love these conversations, is because you're able to tap into something that maybe you didn't even realize was a truth of yours. But she did. Yeah, she maybe, you're right, has never been to a live performance, but she's been at everyone.
Yeah.
And she's inside you at everyone.
Yeah, because I never even, I don't want to ever forget that. I don't want to ever forget that she's really there. So, but anyway, but it's all good. It's all good. So I'm here to continue on. And getting back to the theaters coming into San Diego, how did I do? Oh, you know what? You can ask the questions. I just started.
But go ahead. If you had a thought, no, please go with
No,
that.
I was just thinking, now, how did I get to San Diego? But that was when I was still doing shows in San Francisco, and and then did this little show called Menopause the Musical, and I did that for 6 years in San Francisco. And you know what? That was a blessing, because I was divorced, I had a child, and that put food on the table. And I did it for 6 years, and until I met my husband. And then we were married, and he was asked to come to San Diego. And I'm thinking, oh my gosh, now I've got to leave this show. And here it came to San Diego Rep. And the Rep did not sponsor it, but the theater was there. So that's how I came to San Diego. And they start doing all kind of other things in San Diego. So it's been a blessing. It really has been good.
Speaking of carrying on, now that we've gone through this, summer of first the COVID lockdown, and then, like you said, the lynching of George Floyd, which kind of, spurred everybody into this moment we're into. And I know for a lot of people it's exhausting, but it's kind of seemed to me like for Black artists and for Black theater workers, it's been somewhat of a reinvigoration of a way, because like I said, with all the everyone started making their Black Lives Matter statements, we were kind of like, okay, all right, we'll just, let's see what you're talking about then, because I we were already ready, we were already dealing with this stuff, and then once the match was lit, it kind of, like I said, it seems like it's been a reinvigoration in the conversation. It's been a reinvigoration of us kind of trying to not stake claim, because it's not a claim to stake. It's just, we're trying to let people understand that these are the ways that we've been marginalized. These are the ways that our images have been marginalized. These are the ways we've been put in these stereotypes. And I mean, on stage to off stage, like from the stage to production to administration, like just in this whole field. Give me your thoughts on that, this summer, as this has progressed, and now we're moving, and now that you're on the board at Cygnet, give me your thoughts on how you've seen this summer progress. I guess we'll start with with Black artists and workers first. What have you seen among the Black folks during this time in this summer as we move forward?
I was really impressed when we did, well, I didn't do it. It was Ebony. She had put some things together, and some of the other Black artists at Balboa Park came together for Juneteenth.
Ebony Muse, right?
Yeah, I was like, that was fantastic, and people came out, and she asked me to perform, and I was like, of course. So I saw people actually coming out collectively, and that really, young and old, Black and white, they all came out. And then we, as Black artists, we've had to think out of the box. What are we gonna do? What do we have to do to keep our face out there, to keep our names out there? And so a lot of the theaters are doing cabarets, and guess what we're doing? We're gonna do some cabarets. It might not be the same, but we got to keep our name out there. And like you said, things are going to have to change. We may have to tell our own stories on stage. We may have to do that, because it's going to be different. How many theaters are going to open up and you're going to be six feet apart? I mean, how is it at the Rep? Have you guys even talked about that? How is that going to happen? It at the end of 2021, what is this? So
yeah, I think realistically it's like fall 2021 right now.
Yeah. But then
we're looking at August probably.
Yeah.
And so what are we going to do? Are we going to be wearing our masks? Because by the time they get the vaccine to us, when are we going to get the vaccine? So, and are we going to take the vaccine? And how many African Americans people of color are actually going to take the vaccine?
Anise, would you thank you for saying that, and would you mind speaking to that a little bit, because I think that there is a bit of a lack of understanding as to why so many Black folks are so skeptical to take this vaccine. Like, I have to admit, my dad was like, I'll be the first in line. And as somebody who was in Vietnam, as somebody who came up in the era that he did, it surprises the shit out of me to hear that he is so willing to jump in and take it. So do you mind giving just a little bit of an education as to why our people might be a little skeptical of being part of a trial of a vaccine?
Well, everybody talks about it's the Tuskegee. What happened in Tuskegee? What Black folks were, out here and they're saying, okay, go ahead and take this shot, and we're gonna go ahead and check you out here. And next thing you know, they're like, well, wait a minute, why are you doing this? And Black folks died. They didn't even give them an opportunity to say yes or no. They just said, okay, this is the experiment for. And so Black folks, people of color, are skeptical. So now what they're doing now is, okay, who's going to be the first in the cabinet that's going to take the shot? You're looking at Biden, you're looking at, Barack, So, but I think it's different now, because now we have people that are African American female that is actually has been part of this study when it comes to the vaccine. So we've seen her face. I forget her name, but I've seen her face, and I'm like, okay, I'm feeling a little bit more confident now. I can do this. And as long as the first responders, if they get the vaccine, they really, this has been hard. This has been the worst 2021. It's really, really been hard. So if they're the first ones to get it, fine, let them get it, and but yes, when it gets to me, yeah. And I have to tell you, I had never taken the flu shot ever, because I was afraid of the flu shot. I had never gotten sick. Why do I want to put the flu? I don't want and get the flu. No.
Yeah, I don't ever get the flu anyway. Why I need to get the shot?
Why do I need to get the? Why I don't get that. So I never got the flu shot. So here's my doctor saying, okay, it's COVID-19. You better get the flu shot this year, of all the years. So I got the flu shot this year, and I didn't even get sick. So I'm like, okay, what am I afraid of? I mean, come on, I've got the covering anyway, so I'm cool. So I think by the time it gets to us and all the trials and all that, I'm like, okay, here my arm, because I want to go to work.
Well, and it's funny because we talk a lot about this show. We talk a lot on this show about how representation matters, and in all areas, that it matters in the casting office, it matters at the table that's deciding the seasons, it matters in all areas. And just hearing you talk made me realize, oh no, literally all areas, because the reason that people might be a little bit more trusting this time around is because there was representation in the room. Exactly. Because there was a woman of color that was in the room, not just saying, oh no, let's, that one, we had that mind in there. Exactly. But also, so now because we see representation in the room, we're going, oh no, she's not going to let them put some bullshit in this. Okay, I'll do that.
We do that. Exactly, yeah. Jacole, that's exactly it. So like I said, by the time it gets to us, I think we'll be ready. We would totally be ready to go ahead and put our arm out and say, okay, we're going to do this, and then we've all done it collectively. And I was telling my husband today, I said, you make sure that you don't go out nowhere. You're going to be with me. We're going to be together. We're going to, and we usually are. I mean, if he goes to work, he goes to work, and they're very, very safe there. And he comes on home. And I told him, I said, I pray that I stay healthy and I do not get COVID-19 on whose watch. Mm-hmm. Sorry. Mm-hmm. Sorry. But that's how I'm feeling. I'm like, So let's get through next year and we'll be good to go. We'll be good to go. And we'll be performing. It'd be different. But it's going to be some changes. And like I said, the theaters are going to have to make some changes. They really do. They have to put somebody of color on that casting table. And I think that as being a board member, it was all white folks. And that's what I told Sean. I said, you're not listening. I mean, if it's just all one color, how do you know how we really feel? So anyway, he asked me, and I'm like, okay. And he asked, Monique, and we're on the board. So, and I've already noticed some changes. So it's going to be fine, But that's one theater. That's one theater.
Right.
There's another theater that I will not mention, and I've had to talk to them and
well, somebody needs to, and hopefully they're listening. And I'm just going to go ahead and assume I know what theater that you're talking about, but hopefully they are listening, because we've been screaming it for a while now. Yeah. A lot of people have been screaming it from a lot of different channels, and it's been able to go unheard because it can be. And I hope that we are finally at a time where it can't be anymore.
Exactly. And we just have to keep, because of the tragedies that happened 8 months ago, it hurts my heart even to this day. I mean, there's many African Americans that have passed, but it's made a difference for us to speak out, and hopefully people are going to listen. And we cannot hold our tongues. We cannot hold our tongues. We have to let them know how we feel. And if they don't get it, why are you in the business? Why y'all?
There's part of me that's like, well, then maybe we just stop showing up for real. Maybe at that point, that's where, but I'm like, will they notice? Will they notice?
Will they really notice? Yeah, exactly. But the only time they'd notice is that, oh, okay, gosh, I got to get somebody that's African American. Now, who can I call? Oh, everybody gone.
And then they'll go, okay, well, maybe we really didn't need a Black person. I bet we can get around that.
Yeah, right. Exactly. I know. Now this is real talk. Didn't we say we were going to do real talk?
Yes, ma'am.
Like we sitting in my living room. We in my living room. This is what we
exactly.
So it's all good. It's all good. But we just have to hang on in there. And like I was telling you, Jacole, it was just such a blessing when I saw you on the other side of that table. And you just you started at the rep, and I was like, yes. And then you just moved on up. And I was like, yes.
Like the Jeffersons up in this piece.
I know, okay.
Moving on up, moving on up.
And I'm with you right by your side. So we just got to go on and represent. Did I see Parnia's name up there?
Yes.
Hey, Parnia. No.
Parnia's in the house.
I know. I don't know what she's talking about. She's got.
Well, speaking of you being on the board, maybe last month we did an actual board member episode where we had Stephanie Bolger, who's on the board at the Globe. We had John Brooks, who's on the board at Moxie. We had Jasmine Sadler, a new board member here at the Rep. What do you see as the importance of you and Monique's contribution now on being on the board at Cygnet? What do you see as far as what is your impact, or do you see as being your impact now and being on the board at Cygnet?
Our voice. Before they didn't have a voice like ours. They see things now. I mean, we've had three board meetings, I think. And so we bring to the table things that they're like, oh, I never thought of it that way. I think it's we start thinking about how are we going to go into the community and let people know that Cygnet, and I'm saying Cygnet because I'm a board member now, that they are looking at changing when it comes to development, when it comes to their shows, thinking out of the box when it comes to casting. Like a little night music. What did Sean started thinking out of the box when he asked me to be Madame Armfeld. And I said, why you want to ask me to be Madame Armfeld? I ain't no 70-year-old, 80-year-old woman in a wheelchair. And I said, and I'm so used to having little night music. It was always white.
All white people. I've
All
never
white.
seen it. Not all white.
Right. Exactly. So I said, okay, he's listening. He wants to make a change. So I think we just need to have more of that at other theaters to start listening. It's our voice. If we put it out on the table, they can veto it, fine. But at least we put it out on the table. Before, it would have never been on the table because they didn't know how we really felt. So, so I just hope other theaters are going to open up and listen. And like I said, I spoke with one theater and had dinner, and this was a while back. And there were some things that were bothering me, and I just had to call them out. After a while, I just called them out because it was like, this ain't happening. I don't get this. Explain why. Why did this happen? You know. So, and they didn't even think it was an issue because they're so used to doing it one way. They didn't think it was an issue until I brought it up. So.
And the example of Little Night Music is interesting. The example that you just gave for so many reasons, because yes, steps in the right direction. Let's give points for steps. And this is absolutely no shade to Cygnet and Sean, because I don't think that they are the worst behaviors. I don't know that they are bad behaviors. I think that they are, you know, now at a point where they're open to see where maybe some missteps have happened. So I will put that there. But so we think about examples of a Little Night Music that are traditionally seen as completely all white casts. Great, we went outside the box. We're gonna put some color in there. Riddle me this: when do we get to not be the 90-year-old in the wheelchair? Is there not one single age appropriate role in a Little Night Music that has your same vocal? You know, so great, but why that role? You know. And I think I've used this example on the show before. Years and years ago, I went to Utah Shakes to go and see their season. And it was so exciting. It was so exciting because they had a black man in a leading Shakespeare King role. They have a black man playing a lead role. It was King John. Yeah. He's the worst one. Right. You're finally going to put a black man in a Shakespeare King role, but it's the sniveling idiot. It's the worst of the kings that needs to be dethroned.
Yeah, right.
That's not a really great step. Yes. We had a black man in a lead, but playing a piece of shit.
Right.
You know, so do we call that conscious casting or unconscious casting? And if it's unconscious, why didn't you think of that?
Yeah. But you know what? In that case, who knows what that guy could have thought? Who knows? But Sean did tell me why.
Okay.
And I appreciate, because I asked him. I said, why didn't you go to somebody else? Why me? And he said, because of that character, she was elegant. She was the head of that family. She knew where she was going. She had control. And she said, that character is you, Anise.
Okay, fine. I'll take that.
I'm like, okay, thank you. Thank you. I'll go ahead and get in the wheelchair.
You're right. That is me. No, you're right. You're right.
So, you know, when he started breaking it down, I'm like, you really think that's me? Yes, it is. Okay, it is. Okay. You know, so it is what it is. But I do have to say about even Sam. Sam thought out of the box when he did Tommy.
Mm-hmm.
He slayed in there. I was like, Sam Woodhouse, you did the best thing, because that show, we blew it up.
For sure.
Oh, we had so much fun.
Sure.
It was. I thought it was the best ever at that.
Watch where you're talking, because Tommy might have originated. So talking about the best ever, it kind of originated at La Jolla Playhouse. So let's just say it was great. It was real great, real great, but maybe not the best Tommy.
But I was going there. I was going there, Jacole. Don't forget when I was going there. It was really good as a black Tommy at the rep. But when it came to when we did the reading at La Jolla Playhouse, all I can do is like, oh, I wanted to be the gypsy again. Okay.
I know. I was trying to make it happen, but no, they got the Broadway original, whatever.
But that's okay. That's okay. Hopefully it'll come back again. I can still be the gypsy.
But I tell you what, when it was here at the Rep and it was time for the Acid Queen.
Yeah.
Mhm.
No, okay.
Tore the house down. Tore the house down.
It
Every
was
performance.
You know, I loved it. Totally loved it. So, you know, I have to give it to Sam. He's thought out of the box quite often. He has definitely so. You know, I'm just glad that I was able to be part of that. And it wasn't just at the Rep, but it wasn't, you know, at Cygnet, and even I played a gypsy at the Hunchback of Notre Dame. So I mean, you know, it's all good. You just have to go out there and do the best you can. Just do the best.
You know, as we're moving forward, and you know, at this time, as a lot of theaters are, you know, moving forward and now looking at what representation means, you know, on the stage, in the meeting rooms, in the boardrooms, in the administration. We always try to, you know, bring it back, of course, to our side, to the artists, the workers, also as we continue forward to what our role is in making sure that these, you know, because it's well, you know, what's our part now? A lot of times we like to say like, well, we've been doing it, but we're still moving forward and we still have work to do. And, you know, even with, you know, like now moving from, you know, now I'm like exactly a year of learning what it was to work in development. This is a new position for me, but now I've moved into the artistic department also. And so, you know, I always continue this march that I've always had of, okay, well, I just want younger Black people to see someone else Black in a space where I never saw anybody at, or to doing things tech-wise, development-wise, this-wise, to where I never saw anyone doing anything. But at the same time, that comes with a lot of responsibility, especially when you do move into a new position and you're doing something new, and you want to make sure that, no, I got put here because I'm capable to do it. I don't want to just be a figure. Like that was part of doing this show. Like, hey, I'm not coming out here just to be some figurehead. I'm not coming out here just to be the Black face on the Zoom screen. Like, we're going to talk and we're going to have real conversations. Like, I'm not doing it just to be the Black person on your Zoom screen. So can you speak to a little bit, like, you know, to those who are watching and who will be watching this, as far as on our end, as we move forward in this now, what's our responsibility to take this fight, you know, where it's supposed to go and to who it's supposed to go to?
You know what, but with you and Jacole starting this, and I should say you started it first, right? And then you asked Jacole to come on, still in all.
You know what, I always want to make this, you know, completely clear. This whole thing is the brainchild of Sam Woodhouse. Like, this whole thing was the brainchild of Sam Woodhouse, the partnership between the Playhouse and the Globe. This came out of Sam's mind, out of, I won't say maybe he knew what it was going to be, but he knew it was something that was necessary. And I think in his mind, he tapped the people who he felt were honest and invested enough to make it be what it was supposed to be.
Okay, there you go. And thank you, Sam, because, and then you put the right person in the seat, and that was you. You're the right person to be there. So, and you just got to keep it going on, keep on moving. There's so many actors here in San Diego, as well as Los Angeles, as well as New York, that you can bring on in here. You can, which I know you won't, you cannot let this stop. You cannot. It's got to continue on. It's got to continue on, because there's going to be new stories to be told. There are going to be new stories from me to be told. You know, Sheldon Epps, he's going to have new stories to tell. I mean, all of us are going to have new stories to tell. So you got to keep it going. I was so impressed when, like I said, when you had asked me, and I'm thinking, why is he wanting? But then I'm thinking, why not? Why not? I gotta get out of your head. And sometimes you get in your head and that messes you up. You got to get out of it, because it's been so screwed up for so long when it comes to doing theater, when it comes to rejection, when it comes to that, you got to think differently. Just think differently. So just keep on doing you, because
you know
we're
what?
Out here.
To tag on to what you said about thinking differently, I was having a conversation with someone yesterday, and I'll talk about this conversation later on when I can make it public to who I was talking to. Number one, I don't want to escape that. With me and Jacole, this is a three-headed monster. We want to talk about Freedom Bradley Valentine as well. We can't get him to come on camera. We can't get him to come on the show, but Freedom is the other person who was a part of this, who's part of the curation team, who keeps this thing moving too. We can't get him to come on as much as he want to run his mouth. We can't get him to come on camera. But we got to give a shout out to Freedom, because it's the three of us who are meeting every week to try to figure out who we should have on and who we should bring on. But to speak to what you were saying about yesterday about why not, I was talking to this person about some moves being made and some people doing things. And they were kind of like, yeah, but it's weird. Like, how can they do that and do this now? And I was like, well, that's how everybody else been doing it. Everybody else been freelancing and working from theater to theater to theater. It's just that we haven't been doing it so much that in your mind, it's strange that a Black person's doing it now, but everyone else been doing it. Exactly. How do you think people move from theater to theater and end up from here to here and start their own? Because they were freelancing. You're just not used to the fact that we're doing it now.
We're doing it.
And their mind was kind of like, oh, yeah. I'm like, yeah, it's the thinking process. We've just been conditioned to think we're outside. No, it's time to get rid of the conditioning, get rid of the thinking, get rid of the limitations, get rid of that. No, you make those same moves too now.
Yes.
And this, if there's any time to make them, now is the time to make them.
Yes. I was telling that to Sean. I said, well, when you want me to be a board member, I can't be committed just to Cygnet. I just can't, because I got to make sure that I'm able to do other things for other theaters. I got to perform at La Jolla Playhouse. I got to perform at Gold Globe Theater, San Diego Rep. Go down Ahmed Theater in Los Angeles.
Yes, ma'am.
Get
that Center Theater Group money.
Thank you. That's how we started doing Leap of Faith up there at the Ahmed Theater. But anyway, so I had to let him know that, yeah, I'll be more than happy, but I can't just be a member and just work at Cygnet. That don't work for me. But you know what? It's our voice. If we have to let them know how we feel and how we perceive ourselves and how we need to be and stay successful in our business. So it worked for me. And you're absolutely, right, Ahmed, that, yeah, got to think out of the box, think differently. I think that's what y'all are doing.
That's what we're trying to do. As we look now, like we were just talking about it earlier, now we're, it's hard, right? Because everyone's now trying to scramble of, when do you do these productions? When are you going to be able to do this? Is it, is it August? Is it not going to be September? This, that. But I want to talk to you a little bit. And Victor Chan is watching on Facebook. He gave us all a shout out. He said he said he loves everybody on the screen. So I want y'all to know that Victor Chan is watching.
Victor's one of our super fans. Victor tunes in almost every week.
Yes, Victor.
And Victor came on my podcast, and this was like one of the few times I was able to talk to someone in a public forum, like who was a performer, and how hard this was. And I want to ask you that now in this time, because like me and Jacole, we're working, like we go to work every day. We're still, as far as precarious as everything is, we still got a job we go to every day as far as in this theater. But my mind has always been, when I started working in the box office, of mine has always been like, we're just, this is the outlet to get people to come in and see the performers on stage. So I want to ask you, as a performer, how difficult this has been. Like I said, we still have a job to go to, but we know the hustle of performing. And I know it from being like Jacole's performed, and I understand from the radio business, like you get the gig, but shoot, you get the gig, you got to get the next gig. And I think people don't understand that. They think, oh, you're an actor, you're on radio, you've got it made. It's like, nah, once that gig is over, and that check is gone. You've got to hustle and get to the next check, and to the next job, and to the next thing, So can you talk to us a little bit about what this has been like from you, from the performer aspect, as far as this, what is it, spring, summer, now into winter of 2020?
It's been really, really hard. Ask my family. It's been so hard, because I was so used to going to the theater, getting on a plane, going on tour, going somewhere else. And all of a sudden stop? What now? I like, will I ever be hired again? Will I ever be able to learn lines again? Am I going to be able to sing like I used to sing? You know, I mean, you think about those things. It's depressing. It completely stopped, and we are going to be the last ones to open up. We still don't know when we're going to open. So what do we do with that? So that's when we have to think out of the box and do something else to invent our new selves. And that is doing a Zoom or doing a cabaret or doing a show or writing a new show for yourself. And it's been really, all I can say, it's been really, really hard. So when people have asked me to do something, guess what I'm going to say? Yeah, I'll be right there to do it. I'll be right there, because we all have to come together and help each other to lift each other up, because it's hard. It's really hard. I mean, it's very sad and it's depressing, and all of us want to go to work, and I wish people would wear their masks. I really do. I really wish they would wear their masks. So it'll help us out.
And I know that we have to wrap up here soon, but you've answered this indirectly in a number of ways here, but I just would love to know what it means to you to be a Black woman in this business.
What it means to me?
Yeah, what does it mean to you to be a Black woman in this business?
I think it means to me, it means that I have to, which I've kind of said before, work harder. I think I've had to prove myself, but it means that I am a strong Black woman to keep going, to prove myself. If I have to prove it time and time again, I'm going to prove it so that I can continue to work. I love what I do. I hope it shows. I think it has, because I have performed quite often, but I'm going to keep on keeping on, and I'm going to continue to be this strong Black woman to fight for what I believe in. And if I need to fight for that part, I'm going to sing that song so hard that you guys are going to love it. And if it's on you to get somebody else, it's on you. But trust me, I will know that I did what I needed to do to make it happen for me. So I'm going to stay strong and keep on moving on. But I will have my down days, but that's okay, because I'm just one of many. But I still have to stay strong, and it's going to be all right. We're going to be all right.
That's right. That's right. Any advice to the younger kids who end up watching this or seeing this, who are, and I guess my mind drifted to that because I know when Freedom came on as a guest, we talked about, which my stake in this time is, my biggest thing that I fight for right now in this time is the pipeline to get, Black kids of color into the theater and in the places they in other words, wouldn't be able to get into. And I guess it comes back to my mind after watching that August Wilson documentary last night and seeing these young kids so excited, but talking the same things you're talking right now.
I know.
Still the same issues right now. High schoolers today, still talking the same issues, still talking about this one, just still talking about just the perceptions and they couldn't get this role, and the person thought they weren't right for this just because of how they looked and this, that. What is your advice right now at this time to like the young kids who are in high school and those theater programs and those young college programs who are looking like we're looking right now, like, oh my God, when is theater ever gonna?
I know. I think we all are thinking that way, but they have to stay strong too. It's going to be a while, because people are just now starting to listen. Mm-hmm. They're finally starting to listen. So it's going to take a while, but it's going to have to be that generation for them to stand tall and speak up louder than what we're trying to say to them. So I feel so sorry for some of my college friends that have continued. They graduated from college and went to New York and was hoping to get on Broadway, and had a couple of shows that they were going to be starting on Broadway. And guess what? Shut down.
Yeah.
How do
Yeah.
they feel? But they have to keep on plugging on. Stay strong. If that's your passion, stay strong. You can do it. That's who you are. Stay there. Now, if you have something else that you want to do, go ahead and do that. I have a friend that she's a painter, and she paints and she does watercolors, and do something. But if acting, dancing, singing, acting is your passion, stick to that. We can get through. Now they need your voice. You're the next generation to make this happen for you and for us all. And I'm going to be there, because my voice, I will let you know. But guess who's behind me? It's the young folks.
Mm-hmm.
They have to stay on the path and speak up.
That's right.
Just let them know.
That's right. Well, look, we're coming up on an hour, in about an hour and 15 minutes.
All right. Good.
I just want to say, Anise, thank you so much for coming on and talking to us. Like, thank you. Right. You've been on the radar for a minute. You've been on the radar for a minute. I was like, we got to get Anise in here to talk. We got to hear, to let the people hear from Anise.
I know you did. You called me. It's early, but that was, I can't do it this day. I do it the last day. How about that? You know what? It's all good. We're going to get on this, you guys. And I'm just so glad that you came into my living room through a Zoom call, through Facebook, through all of it. And we're going to be all right. And it's just to see our faces that let's get through this year and be healthy, and wear your masks, people. Just wear your masks.
Anise, we had to bring you on when we did, because you always get the 11 o'clock number.
Girl. You cray, girl. I love you so much. So we have fun.
Well, look,
thank you for coming on and joining us, and for just taking part in this candid conversation. I got to know so much more that I didn't know before. It sounds like you made some discoveries in this call today. So I'm so glad you're here.
Honestly, Jacole, and I may be calling you and just say, okay, Jacole, what did I say? What should I say? How should I write it down? I'm serious. So you know what? We have to come together to make it happen for all of us. We can't do it one at a time. We have to come together. So we good. Thank you, guys. Mwah. I love you guys so much. Thank you for asking me. Okay.
Oh yeah, for sure. And hopefully in the next year when we get things rolling, we want you to come back and visit us so we can talk about things. And we can't wait to see you. That's the one thing people don't understand about this community. Like, we all got together at the opening nights and the meetings and the readings and and it's not just about showing up and watching the shows. This is our community. Like, when I saw Victor when he came to do a podcast with him, we were just like, oh, what's up, dude? What's happening?
Exactly.
So, we're looking to get back to us, and thank you for closing out the year. Thank you for closing out the year with us.
My pleasure.
Before we go, I want to give a couple of shout outs. Like I said, this is the last episode of the year, but we'll be back on January 7th with Jocelyn Prince, Joy Jones. We'll have Zach King, and we'll have Rich on from the San Diego Black Artists Collective. So we know we're going to get down and talk some serious talk, about expanding this mission for Black artists and Black professionals and Black theater workers and everybody in the performing arts. I want to say thank you to Sam Woodhouse for actually coming up with this platform, like knowing it was necessary and bringing us all on board to do it. Again, I want to give a shout out to, the guy you never see, Mr. Freedom Bradley Ballantyne. Want to give a shout out to him, and thank you, Freedom, for always telling me to get some rest. I appreciate it. I want to give a shout out to my co-host, Jacole Kitchen. Like, Jacole comes on, she For me, I say she brings the legitimacy to these conversations. I'm just the guy up in here asking some questions and cracks the microphone and runs his mouth. But Jacole brings the legitimacy, and you know, she brings the good questions, and so I want to say thank you to her and everybody who watches. The person that you never see, but this thing does not happen. This thing does not stay on the rails without Sharisa. You never see her face, you never hear her, but Sharisa is the one who makes this go every time we come on. So Sharisa, you are the MVP. Thank you so much. And thank you to everybody here at the Rep. Thank you to Mia at the Playhouse. Thank you to, again, everybody at the Globe for coming together to make this happen. And again, we'll be back in 2021 with some more.
Can I say hi, Victor? Hi, Parnia. Thank you.
Jacole, you got anything else for the people?
Thanks for listening.
All right, y'all. Everybody, have a spectacular Christmas. Have a spectacular New Year. Again, Anise, thank you very much. And we will see all y'all in 2021. Be safe.
Yes.
Bye, y'all.
Bye.